Hey everybody, CT Luna here. Hopefully I am recording. Yes, I am. And I think my microphone is connected as well. I actually started recording this. This is the first time that I've actually blipped and cut myself off 30 seconds in and just re-recorded because I realized I wasn't even wearing my mic and headphones. So you probably wouldn't hear me. Yeah, so it's probably a better thing that I didn't load that blip. Anyway, CT Luna here. Welcome to the Audio Lab. Throughout the month of July, I'm running a little experiment. I know so many of you love to listen to your books, and since I'm getting ready to eventually record and publish the official audiobook for Brown Beyond Borders, Emerging into Golden Multidimensionality, I wanted to practice it out loud with you all first. So every single day this month, I'm pulling up a chair, reading a few pages of my memoir right here. And if you're on the free list, these daily drops will stay open for just a few days before they head into the archives for my paid subscribers. So make sure you keep up. If you ever miss a session or want to unlock the whole archive to listen at your own pace, you can upgrade to a paid subscription tier at any time. And today I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to read chapter 6 in its entirety. So it'll be a little bit longer than my usual reads, but it will be complete. Chapter 6, My Journey to Hair Acceptance. There's a lot of history entangled in my tresses. When I was a little girl, my mother, a white European woman, used to brush my hair every day, exclaiming that I had so much hair. She would spray it with a detangling spray, brush it out so that it would stand out in a brown, cottony fluff around my head, and then use a comb to draw a line from the center of my forehead to the nape of my neck. Then she would take each half of my hair, fix it at the top of my head on each side, and braid the two puffs that stood proud above my ears. This was my childhood hairstyle. Every morning, my mother and I would stand in the bathroom facing the mirror, and she would brush my hair, part it down the middle, and braid each half. There was always some wincing on my part, and mom would tell me to straighten my head so that each puff would be at the same height. Some days there was aggravation with the sheer volume and wildness of my hair. For both of us, it became clear that this was the best way, or maybe the only way, to control or manage the growth stemming from my head. While I was proud of the thickness of each braid, we both had mixed feelings about my hair. My mother may have had a bit of hair envy, as her hair has always been fine and straight and easy to comb through. In contrast, my hair has always been curly, coarse, and definitely not easy to comb through. As a schoolgirl, I used to envy the hairstyles of the girls in my class. I could imagine the hairbrush and comb swishing through their tresses. No strength, force, or effort required. No wincing. There were two other black girls in my class. One would have her hair styled regularly into cornrows and other protective, intricate styles. Her hair had tighter curls than mine, and my mother would never have been able to pull off those styles. The other black girl somehow managed to come to class with her hair straightened. She didn't look girlish. To me, she looked stylish. Neither my mother nor I had any idea how she managed to accomplish this feat. Her hair was so straight it reflected light, and a comb could most certainly swish through her tresses. For many years, it was my dream to have straight hair like hers or the white girls in my class. When I was a preteen, I felt like my dream was finally going to come true. My mother had started asking me to take care of my own hair in the mornings, which I was pleased to do. And while I loved having agency over my hair and having a say about how I looked going to school, I quickly found myself complaining about the unruliness of my tresses. There was just so much of it. The way it looked when it was heavily moistened with detangling spray was not how it looked only seconds later when the detangler would evaporate away. Puff! My coily curls would break out into a cotton candy fluff. And so I resorted to doing what my mother had done all those years prior. I would take a comb to part my hair down the middle and braid two plaits under my ear. That was my variation. Instead of having my braids pulled up near the top of my head, they were below my ears, and sometimes I would take each braid and attach them together behind my head. By the time I was in grad school, I had already discovered the magic of hair texturizers or relaxers. I would book an appointment with a hairdresser every 2 or 3 months for her to touch up my curly roots. To my great disappointment, I had learned that relaxed hair doesn't actually stay straight without avoiding a lot of moisture and without applying a lot of heat. Nevertheless, I had chosen the chemical path to taming my wild curls. When I went to London to complete my master's degree while working as an intern at a boutique PR firm, I made sure to relax my hair a few days before my flight. I was going to be abroad for nearly 3 months, and I knew I didn't want to risk my hair with some stranger. London has a reputation for being a wet city at just about any time of year, and the summer I was there was no different. If it wasn't raining, it was hot and humid, which meant I had to style my hair as professionally as I could. I wanted to look like an adult. A middle part and braids weren't going to cut it. By this time, my styling repertoire had expanded to include a hair dryer with a brush or a comb attachment, and then I would twist my hair into a knot at the nape of my neck. Last, I would shellac my hair down with generous amounts of hair gel. The look would hold up for most of the day, but if there was enough humidity in the air, or if I would get caught in the rain, the curls somehow muscled their way out of my twist and gel stronghold. By this time, I was resigned to my fate. I knew my hair would never be straight, and I just had to accept that. Of course, it didn't mean I would stop chemically treating my hair. It just meant I was prepared to live with a low grade disappointment that the comb swish would never really authentically be mine. The PR boutique where I worked was a few steps away from Tottenham Court Road. There was a team of about 30 people there, and I was the only intern working there that summer, and the only person of color working in a communications role. There was a young Black man who served as IT support. The CEO was a blonde woman in her 40s. She wore stiletto heels, and her hair was styled in bouncy Barbie comb swish curls. One day she made an entrance. She appeared in the office with a head full of shiny blonde corkscrew curls, and the mostly female staff cooed, exclaiming how lovely and delightful she looked. I had no idea you had curly hair. Don't get used to it, she retorted. I'll be getting it straightened before tonight's gala. Oh, but it looks so lovely, another team member lamented. Thanks. I'm laughing at my own English accent. Sorry. Terrible English accent. Thanks, but I can't show up at a public event looking like this, she said, pointing at her head dismissively. I'm a CEO. I'd never be taken seriously with curly hair. They had their conversation right in front of me, and I was stunned. Of course, as a fellow curly girl, I knew exactly what she meant, but I was surprised to hear that comment coming from her. First, she was a CEO. She had spent years proving her worth, and she had made it to the top. And still, she felt that her curly hair was keeping her from being taken seriously. A recent study conducted more than 20 years after this incident would confirm her perception that, quote, a bias against curly haired white women appears to exist in the workplace, end quote. She was a white European woman. If she felt she needed to mask her natural curls to climb up the professional ladder, what did that mean for millions of women with afro textured natural hair? The CEO's curls anecdote highlights the insidious ways in which societal and corporate expectations can erode our self confidence and self esteem. To women of color and immigrants, there is a pressure to assimilate, often to fit white and Western beauty standards. These norms are so ingrained that we frequently resort to sacrificing our individuality by embracing a narrow definition of professionalism, ultimately feeling othered and less than. Hair bias, disguised as professional standards, isn't just an American phenomenon. It's a global issue woven into the very fabric of our societies. From the subtle microaggressions to the blatant discrimination, the message is clear. Curly hair and natural afro textured hair are not professional. Research by scholars across the United States shows that Black women with natural hairstyles are deemed less professional and competent than their counterparts with straightened hair or white women with curly or straight hair. Dr. Ashley Shelby Rosette, PhD, a management professor and senior associate dean at Duke University's Fuqua School of Business, defines natural hair as quote, the form in which one's hair grows from one's head. For Black women, it's often woolly to the sight and soft to the touch and grows outward, not downward, end quote. Rosette, who collaborated on a study with Dr. Christy Zhu Koval, PhD, published in a 2021 study that found, quote, Black women with natural hairstyles received lower scores on professionalism and competence and were not recommended as frequently for interviews compared with three other types of candidates, Black women with straightened hair and white women with curly or straight hair, end quote. In a LinkedIn Live broadcast published to YouTube, Rosette elaborates, quote, we argue that because whites have been the dominant social category in Western society, that there's an implicit assumption that the standard professional appearance in many work environments is based on the physical appearance of whites. And for women, including Black women, that means straight hair, end quote. To underline this point, an article published several years earlier in The Guardian, a British daily print and online publication, spotlighted how the world's leading search engine is also reflecting this bias against Afro-textured natural hair. Quote, searching for the professional images offered pictures of coiffed white women. Often the hairstyles themselves were not vastly different, only the hair type and the wearer's skin, end quote. This pervasive bias isn't just an aesthetic preference. It has real-world consequences. It impacts our hiring opportunities, sense of belonging, and overall well-being. It's time we challenge these outdated and discriminatory notions of professionalism and embrace the beauty and diversity of natural hair. We must create inclusive workplaces where all employees, regardless of their race, ethnicity, or hair texture, feel valued and empowered to be their authentic selves. As Rosette aptly states, quote, our work supports the notion that a bias may exist towards natural hair. That is, hair discrimination is really a thing, end quote. My personal struggle with conforming to white beauty standards by chemically straightening my hair is not unique. Countless Black and brown women with textured hair have faced similar pressures in professional settings. But a groundbreaking piece of legislation known as the Crown Act is challenging these outdated norms and paving the way for greater inclusivity in the workplace. The Crown Act, which stands for Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair, was developed and introduced by a coalition of organizations, including Dove, the National Urban League, Color of Change, and the Western Center on Law and Poverty. The legislation aims to prohibit discrimination based on hair texture and protective styles, such as braids, locks, twists, and afros, which are often associated with Black culture. This landmark legislation was first signed into law in California in 2019. Since then, it has been enacted in numerous other states, including New York, New Jersey, Virginia, Colorado, Washington, and more. The Crown Act's growing adoption signifies a shift in societal perceptions of beauty and professionalism, acknowledging the cultural significance of natural hair and protective styles. It's crucial to note that the Crown Act originated outside the corporate world, demonstrating that meaningful change often requires legislative action in government. While companies and corporations play a vital role in promoting diversity and inclusion, they cannot solely address deeply ingrained societal biases. Laws like the Crown Act provide a necessary framework for holding organizations accountable and ensuring equitable treatment for all individuals, regardless of their hair texture or style. The impact of the Crown Act extends far beyond the workplace. For Black and brown women with textured hair, it's a powerful affirmation of our cultural identity and natural beauty. It allows us to embrace our hair without fear of discrimination or professional repercussions. This newfound freedom can boost self esteem, confidence, and overall well being. The Crown Act has broader implications for American society, challenging Eurocentric beauty standards and promoting a more inclusive definition of professionalism. By recognizing and valuing diverse hairstyles, hair textures, and styles, the legislation contributes to a more equitable and accepting society for all. The influence of the Crown Act is also felt in global corporations as many multinational companies closely observe and adopt policies and practices established in the United States. As the Crown Act gains traction across the country, it sets a powerful precedent for other nations to follow, potentially leading to greater hair equality and inclusivity in workplaces worldwide. The Crown Act is a significant step towards dismantling discriminatory practices and fostering a more inclusive and equitable society. By prohibiting hair discrimination, the legislation empowers individuals to embrace our natural hair and cultural identity, contributing to a more diverse and accepting workplace and society. As the Crown Act continues to gain momentum, it sends a powerful message to organizations worldwide. Embracing diversity, inclusion is not just a moral imperative, but a key driver of innovation, productivity, and success. And that's where we're stopping for today. It is also the actual end of chapter 6. So if you have a question about the book, the writing process, or anything we covered in today's segment, drop it in the comments of this post, and I might just answer yours on a future episode or recording. Also, I'm really glad to share this unedited process with you. I am learning so much about reading books, reading and recording them, and understanding how I need to prepare for reading out loud. So this is a good experience for me as I move towards eventually recording the audiobook to Amazon and elsewhere moving forward. However, it will be a little while I set all of this stuff on book 1 aside and start working on book 2. So now that I've rambled about that, look out for the next pages in your inbox tomorrow morning. If you know someone who would connect with this part of the journey, please share this post with them while it's still open to the public. And if you want to support this audio experiment and my writing as I start drafting aforementioned book 2, consider becoming a paid subscriber to unlock everything. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you mañana. Ciao for now.